I'm just trying this going live thing. We'll see if anyone watches. Someone's here. This is my first time doing a live thing, so I have no idea what I'm doing, but I've got a lot of hoops to make, so I figured I would live stream it. So let me know if anything is bad or awful. Just wreck my self-esteem. Is there any way I can tell who's watching? I don't know. I've never done this before. Can I see, like, I don't know, maybe type something and let me know if I can see the chat, whoever you are. Mystery person. Chat viewing options. I want to see all of them. Let's see live chat. Oh, hello, Nat. Okay, there we go. Sweet, thank you. How are you doing? Got 2 people. I'm really behind on Etsy orders, so I'm just gonna, I've been meaning to do this for a while, just like having a live thing going while I'm working on hoops. I don't know if it'll be interesting or not. Right now I'm at the most boring part of the process, which is just cutting hoops. And I've got 9 that I need to make. I don't know how long I'll live stream, if I'll live stream the whole time, because it does take a while, especially when it comes time to tape them. But yeah. Are people still chatting? Can I see? I can't tell if I can tell. Okay, cool. So if you want to just hang out and watch this exciting process, I will try to, yeah, I know I have so many videos I'm working on, I'm just not good at finishing them. But yeah, I'm in the process of like making 3 different ones right now, which might be part of my problem. I should probably just pick one and stick to it, but right now what I'm doing, I've got my raw roll of tubing, and I'm cutting it. I'll show you in a second. Let me get this piece cut first. I'll kind of show you what I'm doing. It's very exciting. Hopefully it's at least interesting. Is everyone having a good post-holiday weekend? Is it still the weekend? I don't even know what day it is. Yes, it's Saturday, right? I need to think. I need to use my brain. That is 78.5. Okay, so that's where I need to cut. I'm going to try to be interesting. I can't make any promises, though. I have some videos about hoop making, and what I'm doing right now is just kind of stretching out the tubing so that it will be more round, because this is one of the bigger hoops that I'm working on. So I've got the full roll of tubing right here that I'm cutting from. I've got a list here of what I need to cut, and over here, this is like one of those books where you can pull the pages out. So on this side, I've got a permanent list. It's all stained and great of the half measurements based on what size hoop I'm making. And then I come over here and I go to my Etsy shop and I write down the sizes I need to make, and they're half measurements. So, and then I just go in and I cut the hoops, excuse me, from there. And that's what I'm doing right now. My shop is open until December 8th. I haven't been having it open that much because it's like my moods to make things like hoops and videos kind of go like motivated, not motivated for a really long time, and so I'm trying to go a little bit easier on myself and not push myself too hard. But it's the holidays, and I know people like to give hoops as gifts, and some people see my videos and they want hoops from me, even though there are tons of really great hoop makers out there on Etsy. I'm always happy to recommend shops, but I like to be available for the people that want one of my hoops every so often. So I've been having the shop open in just like bursts of time. And after the 8th, I'm going to close it up again. So if you want a hoop, you can go get one now. It's just Jess Hoops on Etsy. But yeah, that's what I'm doing tonight. If you have any questions about the process, feel free to ask. It's pretty much just doing the same thing over and over again. So I've got that one cut. Oh, I hope I cut it right. We'll find out. That one was 50 inches. This one's going to be a 52 inch. I've also got these little stickers that it's just reusable. Well, it's not technically reusable, but it's pieces of just hoop tape, the gaff tape that I didn't finish. I can't tell you how many people I've had to correct when they... Oh. I can't tell if you sent a whole message and I just couldn't see it or what. I only saw half of your message. Say that they just can't hold... Yeah. Yeah. 100%. Yeah. I always tell people that's the easiest way to get a free lesson out of me is to tell me that you can't hula hoop, because then I'll be like, just wait. I'll prove to you that you can. Give me 5 minutes. And so I do that. This is a 52 inch hoop that I'm cutting right now, and that's the biggest hoop that I make. And the only reason it's the biggest hoop that I make is because after above 52 inches, it gets really expensive to ship. And 52 inches is pretty big. It's big enough for most people to see a significant improvement with their hooping. So that is 60, 70, 80, 1.5. I wish I had a longer tape measure so I didn't have to add in my head when I'm cutting. But I do. And I only make these big hoops. I'm using 3/4 inch 160 PSI tubing, which is a really thick and heavy tubing. It's not like as heavy as those weighted exercise hoops that you might get at the athletic stores, but those ones are like, they're really heavy. I almost think they're too heavy. Some people like them. I personally don't recommend them. Let me see if I can tilt this so you can see what I'm doing a little bit better. Yeah, there we go. But this is a good weight if you're a beginner and you just want to waist hoop. I don't make polypro hoops anymore, which are the lightweight hoops, because I hate making them. They're a lot more work, and I don't have the energy for them anymore. And they're not really I like using them, but they're not really the hoops that I like to make. I like to make these big beginner hoops for people to really see, that they can hoop. And they're not just for beginners. Like, you can, even as an advanced hooper, you can get a lot out of having a big hoop like this. But yeah. And the cutting is probably my least favorite part. It just takes a long time, and it's a little tedious, but it's gotta get done. Ooh, did I miss a chat? I feel like I saw a chat and it went by. Top chat. Hello, hi Johnny. Welcome. I am working on videos. I don't have any hoop videos in the works. I don't know how many more hoop videos I have in me. I feel like I've said most of what I have to say. I should pay attention to what I'm making. I'm making a 48-inch hoop, so I need 75, 25. But I do have 3 videos in the works about various things, and maybe at least one of them will be done by the end of the year. That's my goal. So we'll see. 25, 75. So there. This one is a 48-inch hoop. I have a lot of larger hoops. I also make hoops with a slightly lighter tubing, but it's still the same thickness. It's 100 psi tubing, which is a little bit lighter, which is good for people with smaller frames, or people who bruise easily, or people who just don't want quite as much weight as the 160 tubing. But none of the hoops I'm making today are with the 100 psi, which means I've only got to cut from 1 roll, which is great. And as I'm making them, if you've seen my video where it's called Why Are Hoops So Expensive, I kind of go through this process of making the hoop and explaining all the steps. And so as I'm cutting these halves, I'm setting them kind of crisscross. I'll show you the pile when I'm done. I'm just setting them crisscross, and then the next step after this is putting in the connectors. 75, 75. And something that I like to do, I don't know if it makes that big a difference, and it might just be something I've started doing and I feel like it works, so I keep doing it, but I measure each half a little bit different. Hey! Oh, Kiana, who just, you been messaging me on Etsy, right? You just got 2 hoops. Yeah, just keep working on it. If you want, you can send me a little video of how you're doing on Facebook or Instagram, and I can try to help you with where you might be going wrong if you're struggling to keep it up. But yeah, I'm glad you're here. That was a 48-inch. I hope I don't mess up by trying to talk and cut at the same time. Oh, so what I was saying is I cut a little bit more on one side, about a 1/2 inch more on one side and a 1/2 inch less on the other side, and I feel like it makes it easier to collapse and that they stay together when they're collapsed better if there's a slight variation in the size of the halves. And I cut all of my hoops into halves so that they collapse infinity style when I mail them. And that's part of why I don't like making the Polypros. They're a lot harder for me to pack because they don't collapse the same way, and they have more hardware. I'm just lazy. I don't want to make them. I'm just outing myself as a lazy hoop maker, but that's okay. I feel like you should make. Oh, thank you. I feel like you should make what you enjoy making and doing. You know, it's easy to get caught up in what everyone else is, like what the trends are and stuff, but I feel like there's always room for people teaching the basics, and that's kind of what I like to teach. Yeah, you will get there, Kiana. And I hope I'm saying your name right, but you will definitely get there with practice. Even if you just do a little bit a day, you will get there. I also highly recommend going to Hoop Path on Facebook. Baxter is doing free live classes like twice a week during quarantine. He's been doing it since March or April. His classes are a really good way to kind of get that grace quickly, because he does a lot of really straightforward, simple exercises. Myrtle, hi, I had to come and see what hoops were. Hula hoops. And yeah, so Baxter does a lot of, some of the exercises are kind of tough, but they are fairly simple. Like, he has you just focus on one thing, and usually it's like moving your hands while you're waist hooping or things like that, and it helps you get there a little bit quicker. So I would take advantage of that. And I also have my Pay What You Want beginner class, which you might be able to find by Googling, and if you remind me, I can send you a link if I haven't already. You're welcome. But that is, if you Google Fearless Beginner and my name, you can find that, and you can pay what you can, even if that's nothing at all. I know times are tough right now, but it's a 6-week class and goes over all the basics. I feel like I may have told you about that one already. I can't remember for sure, but yeah. How's everybody doing? There's 6 people watching now. People are coming in and out. I know this isn't super exciting, but I haven't posted anything for a while, and I've been meaning to try live streaming while I do this, so here we are. Next one. We're moving right along. I've only got 5 more to cut. So next one is a 46th inch. Is everyone watching a hooper or just kind of wanting to hang out and see what's going on? Or not in a position to chat, that's fine too. I don't know what the lag is like, what the lag time is. So this one I need to do 72 inches. Um, 72, 25. I've been trying not to get too behind on my hoops, just roaming YouTube. I do, Myrtle. I sell them on my Etsy shop. It's Jess Hoops, so my name, Jess Hoops, all one word. I was saying earlier that my shop is open kind of in different windows of time, because my motivation to make hoops kind of ebbs and flows. And I'm trying to be gentle and patient with myself. But right now, it's open for the holidays through December 8th. And the ones that I make are large, oversized hoops for adults. Because the hoops that you find at like Walmart and Target and stuff are generally very small and made for little kids. So a lot of people think that they can't hula hoop as an adult, even though they used to as a kid. And it's not that you can't hula hoop anymore, it's that your hoop is too small. Because it's very difficult to keep a small circumference hoop that's very lightweight around a larger adult waist. So that is why I make the big ones. If you hear that noise, that's my litter box. I used to sell quite a bit on Etsy years ago. And I do have information on how to choose. What did you sell on Etsy? Did you like it? I like Etsy a decent amount. I've had some good success there. For a while I was trying to do it full time, but it takes a lot out of you when you do it full time. Because you know, if you don't get sales for a few days, you start to panic and you're like, I'm never gonna eat again. Sold mostly posters, but it changed so much. Yeah, sticking to one thing is hard. If you're an artist, oh no. So this roll of tubing might not get me all the way through what I need to do because it has a kink in it. Can you see that? Oh, that sucks. I don't want to sell someone. Hey, Recycled on Wednesdays, how are you? Recycle on Wednesdays. Is your username just a reminder to yourself that you need to put out your recycling on Wednesdays? I've always wondered that. Yeah, I don't want to send someone a hoop with a kink in it, but it means, nice, I like it. But it means that I'm gonna have to waste this whole chunk of tubing, which, because it's too small for one half of a hoop. It really stinks. So I'm just gonna have to cut that off. Bummer. All that's going away. It's because I have to do stuff like that. I have to make notes like that all the time or I'll forget. Okay. I need to make... All right, Myrtle, thanks for hopping in. Good luck with your art. Yeah, I'm probably going to need another roll of tubing to finish these off. Ugh, it's a pain. I used to get... I think I'm going to order a 44 from you soon. You received the 40, the 42. Maybe the 40 is too small. We'll see. Did you get the 42 yet? Or that one, we're still waiting on the post office to get it to you. Yeah, the post office has been... I tend to get a lot of messages about the post office kind of holding up the process. And it seems like it's even worse right now, especially with everything going on with the pandemic and just like the state of the post office. Johnny, you're learning to hoop for health. That's really good. It's really good exercise. It's pretty easy to do. You don't need a whole lot of space. You don't need a whole lot of, you know, time. You can do it a little bit each day. It's really good for that. But yeah, the post office, I've been getting even more messages. Like for every 10 hoops I mail out, I get like 3 people telling me that their hoop is delayed or the tracking hasn't been updated. So I think they're just really struggling right now. And it stinks because I can't find out any more information than they can. Once I release the hoop into the world, it's in the post office's hands. The best I can do is call them. And then they're usually like, well, according to the tracking, that, you know, the same thing you can see. They just tell me what they see, which is not any different. So it's kind of a pain. But I have not had very many hoops just never show up. I've had some people say their hoop got delivered to like their neighbor. That happened recently. So keep an eye out for that. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for understanding. I know it's frustrating when you're waiting on something you're excited about. Oh, I'm getting to the end of my tubing and it's getting unruly. I used to get these big, this roll is 100 feet. And I used to get, I think it's slipping so that I'm trying to put it so you can see a little bit better, but it's just slowly sliding out of frame. I used to get a big 400-foot roll from Ace Hardware because I had like a relationship with them, but then I closed my shop for a while and I've just been too embarrassed to go back and tell them, hey, I want my big roll of tubing again. And the stuff from Lowe's is more expensive, so I need to do it. I need to just go back and tell them, hey, I'm making hoops again. Can we do the deal? That's why hot tip, if you want to make hoops and you have an Ace Hardware in your area, they can special order tubing for you, if you're nice. I've heard that they'll special order pretty much anything you ask for, but I've been too ashamed. Do you want to learn to hoop while walking? Yeah, definitely. Hoop Path. He does a lot of movement exercises, a lot of footwork exercises. So yeah, if you want to up your game, find Hoop Path on Facebook. Jonathan Baxter is the teacher, and he's just streaming on Twitch and Facebook, and I think one other, YouTube. What's the other one? But he's doing like 2 classes a week, and then just a jam, like a weekend jam. So he's streaming like 3 times a week, and his teaching is a little, kind of have an open mind, because he teaches with like a myth about these women who use the hula hoop for like meditation and stuff, and so sometimes he'll talk about them and give you an exercise, but it's just kind of like a metaphor for a different way to think about what you're doing in the hoop, which I think is kind of fun. But yeah, his exercises are really good for just kind of forcing you to focus on one thing at a time. And he's my favorite hoop teacher, and I credit a lot of how I hoop to Baxter. And if we ever get out of this pandemic and he ever does live classes again, I recommend going to those in person, because they're pretty fun if you can. Okay, this is only 69, so now I have to make 3 44-inch hoops. And I don't think I have 3 44-inch labels, so I'll have to make some new ones, which is just scribbling a number on a piece of tape and cutting it off. Did everyone have a good holiday? However you chose to celebrate or not celebrate, which is also 100% valid. I didn't do much exciting, but I did Zoom with my family. I stayed home. I've just been staying home. We're almost done. 3 more hoops. I'll have to run outside and grab 1 more roll in order to finish here in a little bit, because I'm almost out of tubing. Yep, thumbs up for staying home. I'm getting a little stir crazy, but it's safer. I'm gonna have to go back to my job soon because I'm running out of savings. Oops, I missed that. What was that? You're welcome. Thanks for the encouragement. You're welcome. How long on average should it take to keep the hoop up? A few hours a week, different for everyone? Yeah, it's really different for everyone. You mean like just learning how to keep it going around your waist in the first place? I have found that if I can help someone kind of pinpoint, if I can help someone pinpoint where they're struggling, you can usually get it pretty quick. At least keeping it up like 4 or 5 times in a row, and really kind of getting that initial I did it feeling. And then from there, you can just practice a little bit every day, and you will get more comfortable with it. And then from there, it's just a matter of time with how long it takes you to start feeling like it's really a natural movement. Some people pick it up right away and it just feels natural and they don't have to put a lot into it. Some people, it's just getting the hoop that makes it click. Some people need a little more practice. But I have not met very many people that couldn't get it. And I've helped a lot of people. So just having the right hoop, figuring out where you're struggling, troubleshooting spots, which are pretty common. Like, there are a lot of common ways that people are just kind of moving their body a little bit, I don't want to say wrong, but just like non-optimally, that once you figure that out and get your body moving correctly, then most people pick it up pretty quickly. But if you don't pick it up super quickly, that doesn't mean there's anything wrong. Everyone's different, and everyone has a different process. So I am going to have to run outside and grab another roll of tubing. So I'll be right back. It'll just take 1 minute. Hey! How are you, Mer? I'll be right back. Look. Oh, what's in there? Oh my God. I have a box of cat. Oh. I picked up the box. It was heavier than I expected. Okay. So, alright, I'm back. I know I miss you too. How are you doing? I'm a little bummed because I got 3 rolls of tubing the last time I went to the store, and one of them was the wrong size. I got 1 inch instead of 3/4 inch tubing. So at some point, yeah, same. At some point I will probably have some kind of sale for extra thick hoops just to get through that roll, but don't hold me to that. You're not a weirdo. I really like the 1 inch hoops, but there's just not a very big demand for them. You know, people, there's kind of a stigma still. I keep trying, like, that's been the main goal of a lot of my videos about hoops. I'll try to remember. I'll try to remember to tell you when that happens, if it happens. It has to, because otherwise I'll just have this roll of tubing I can't use. But, there's such a stigma around using a really big hoop. What do you recommend for added weight to the hoops? I don't really recommend adding weight. The hoops that I make, the tubing has like kind of thick walls, and that creates weight, and then the tape that I put on it adds weight. It's been a long time since I first and last hoop. Yes, yeah, moving your hips in a circle doesn't necessarily work super well, and that's what most people want to do. But so the hoops that I make, depending on the size of the hoop and how much tape you get on the hoop, they can weigh anywhere from 1 to 2 pounds, and I don't recommend adding much more weight than that, because then you can start to get to a point where you might injure yourself with the hoop. And if you're just starting out and you're using one of these hoops, you're going to get bruises. That's normal, but you don't want to just like, you don't want your hoop to completely beat you up. And there are the heavier hoops for like the exercise places like Academy sells, and I don't recommend those. I think they're way too heavy, and they make them out of like metal and foam, and they're really heavy. But some people like them. As far as I know, no one has like died from using them. Hoop hugs, yeah. But it does kind of reach a point where you're just hurting yourself more than anything else. But if you're making your own hoops, you can, it's irrigation tubing. So you can fill them with water and then put the connectors in, and the water will it'll stay waterproof in the hoop, because that's what the tubing and the connections are designed for. They're designed to be watertight. And that's one way you can add some weight if you're making your own. And it can be kind of cool because it creates a natural momentum where once you get it going, it will just stay going. I'm about to do that next. I've got to cut 2 more, and then I'm going to move on to the putting them together. And I do it probably the longest way. Yeah, your sides are sore. Yeah, you might not be able to handle it for more than a few minutes at first, but you'll get used to it, and you'll be able to do it for longer. And your body will kind of stop bruising. I actually didn't know this, I learned that the bruising comes from not having your rhythm matched up with the hoop initially, so you're still learning how to move in the hoop, and so the hoop is more likely to hit you in an abrupt way, whereas once you get the hang of the hoop, like the person who mentioned before, I can't remember, I'm sorry, that you were moving in a circle. If you move back and forth rather than in a circle, that is a better way to get a good rhythm going. And then once you get a feel for how the hoop is moving, then you can smooth it out even more, and then you won't bruise as frequently. All right, I'm gonna put this roll over my stand here so that I can cut it. Okay, almost done. So I've got half of that one cut. I need to cut the other half. And the way that I put them together, you can do it in a few different ways. I do it in like the slow / lazy way, which is just boiling water, dipping the ends in the boiling water, and then putting the connector in from there. And I have a whole box. See that box right there? That's full of connectors. So I'll get that down, and I'll start a pot of water boiling here in a second, and maybe answer some questions while it's getting boiling, if you have any, and then we'll put them together. And then once they're together, then the fun part happens, which is the taping. And I don't know how long I will stream the taping. I guess it depends on how tired I am of talking out loud, because I've just been at home, so I haven't been talking out loud. So I think my throat will wear out before my energy to live stream wears out, but we'll see. As long as people are watching, I'll try to hang out. I think it does cut out after a certain amount of time too. I don't know how long I've been streaming. Oh, it's right there, 38 minutes. Okay. So bad. Since I just cut this roll, or opened this roll, it's a lot tighter than the last roll, so. It starts out in this really tight curve, which is why I do this, to get it more spread out. I keep catching myself doing the hand thing you mentioned in your video. I start laughing every time. Oh, the T-Rexing? That thing? That's very normal. Very normal. Don't feel bad about that. So now that curve is a lot more gentle, and it will go together in a nicer circle. One more. We're getting there. Yeah. Yeah, don't worry about that. That's normal. Everybody does that at first. It's hard to know what to do with your hands, especially when you're just trying to get it to keep going around your waist, you know? When you start, there's so many things to think about, and you're trying to focus on all these tiny little nuances. It's like you're trying to focus on 400 things at once. And over time, your brain will slowly commit each of those things to muscle memory, and you'll have less and less to think about, and it will just feel more natural. But at the start, it's a lot. you're trying to move your body in a way that it's not used to moving. So go easy on yourself, be patient with yourself, and you'll get there. It's a process. There's a really good video. It's an old one, but if you look up Sapphire, Safire, she has a video called Love the Process. I think it's either Love the Process or Love the Journey. And it shows her starting out, like she would film herself practicing. So it's just videos of her like practicing a move and then finally getting the move. And it's a nice video to see, because so often we just see people who have put in the hours of practice and are just filming like their best movements and their best performances, and you don't really get to see that awkward phase where you're learning from people that often. So it's always nice to remind yourself that everyone starts somewhere and no one starts off, an expert. It's all practice. This is the last piece to cut, and then we'll start that water boiling. And I'm trying to keep an eye on the chat. I don't think I've missed anybody. You're welcome. Thanks for hanging out with me. Oh, Mer left. I missed that. I wasn't sure if anyone would be interested in this, but I've been thinking about doing it for a while, so this may be the only time I ever do it. I don't know. I have to be in the mood to do something like this. Sometimes it happens and sometimes it doesn't. All right. Hippie Tim, hi. Tiny town in New Mexico. Did you move? It's exhausting. Yeah. Yeah, it is. Especially at first, but you build up stamina over time. Especially if you get obsessed, which is what I did in the beginning. I was very obsessed, and I spent like an hour at least a day just practicing because it was all I wanted to do. Wow! Shows what I know. I'm so bad at keeping up. Well, do you like it there? Okay. We've got the hoops cut. I'm trying to think of the best way to move you guys so you can see what I do next. So there's my, did it flip? Oh, can you see that? Oh, it doesn't look like it's showing up. All right. There's my pile of hoops, all cut, and they're all crisscrossed, so I know which one goes with which. No, Ty, if you're no circus folk, you gotta move back. That sounds awful. Oh no, I just realized that you guys are gonna have to see my messy kitchen. Hold on. I just want to move one of the uglier things out of the way. Let's set it up. So, it's really analog. So some people, I said there's a few different ways you can do it. I'm propping you guys up with a bottle of cooking oil, which might block the chat, but I'll do my best to keep up. Woo! This is my hoop boiling pot. It's really dirty, and it's the only thing that I use. I think hooping has a steep learning curve. Yeah, definitely. Some of the basics, like the very basic, hang on. Just going around your waist a lot of people can pick that up relatively quickly, but then everything else definitely has a learning curve, like especially chest and shoulder hooping, that kind of thing. Let's see, I'm streaming on my iPad, so we're just doing the best we can. So I've just got some water. I'm gonna wait for it to start boiling. And this is right now just a waiting game, so let me get the connectors. So here's my box of connectors, and I just put one in each side. I was good at 7 years, Hula Queen, different at 68 years, for sure. You know, not only do you have the different size hoop and the different size body, but you got, you know, you've got a body that has the capacity for slightly different movement, drastically different movement. But it's still definitely doable. I've seen it. My mom hula hoops. How old is she? She was born in 55, and I can't do math right now. But she has, I've given her a hula hoop, and she does it. She can actually hoop and juggle at the same time, which I cannot do. So everyone's got a set of skills. But yeah, so the way I put it together is I just boil each end and I stick one of these connectors in. And then when the two halves are together, it folds down into a figure 8. Yay! Yeah, still hooping at 60. Yeah, the big ones are really good for people of all ages to use. So, hey buddy, I've got a cat down here who's trying to get my attention. So other ways you can put these hoops together, some people use a heat gun and a connector. I don't have a heat gun. I've never felt the need to invest in one because the boiling water works just as well. It might be a little more time consuming though. And then some people, it's actually really common these days to have like a connector that does not have these ridges, but a flat connector or just a smaller piece of tubing, and then you'll drill a hole through both of them and insert a push button, and then you can pop the hoop open, and it looks really classy and professional, but I don't like doing it. You put a rivet in one side so the connector stays in place, and then drill a hole and put the push button in the other. And that's how most people do their like polypro or HDPE hoops, and I think there's even another kind of tubing people are using these days. I can't keep up with the times, man. So I just make these. These are the hoops that I originally learned to make when I first started making hoops and hooping in 2008. People weren't using polypro or HDPE for hoops. Everyone was using the black irrigation tubing, the big oversized hoops, and we liked it. And it was a few years later, this guy, this is hoop history for you, this guy Rich Porter, who as far as I know isn't really that active in hooping anymore. He's an architect, but he started doing tubing experiments to see if there was a lighter, quicker tubing for doing more off-body stuff, because he liked to do isolations, and he was one of the pioneers and the people that popularized doing an isolation and then holding it in place, letting it roll around your hand so it kind of looks like it's popping. It was called isopops. I don't know if they still call it that or not, but that he wanted a lighter weight tubing to do stuff like that. And so he experimented with a whole bunch of different kinds of plastic tubing, and he discovered that polypropylene was a really good tubing for what he wanted. And the original polypro hoops were just sanded on the inside, clear polypro tubing. Didn't have all the colors yet because there wasn't a demand for them. And he and Vivian Spiral would sell those on their tour together. And that's how the first polypro hoops came into existence. That was, when was that? Like 2010, 2011, around then? That gives you hope. Good, Johnny. You should always have hope. It's possible. All right, so the water is starting to boil. Yes, but with the advent of polypro hoops, we kind of got into people getting kind of uppity about the size of hoops that you use. And it used to be a really big deal. Like, obviously you want a hoop big enough for you to learn on, and giant hoops were the norm and expected, and everyone used them. And now since hoops, I'm drinking Waterloo, Black Cherry Waterloo. But ever since polypro started becoming more the norm, it got a little bit stigmatized to use a big hoop, which is my whole thing. There's no shame or stigma around using a big hoop. Use the tool that works best for you to get the job done. The water, I think, is hot enough. It's not quite boiling yet, but you can see it's steaming up. So I'm just going to start putting these together. Oh, sorry, bud. And I'm going to try to keep up with the chat, but I am stepping away here and there. So one thing I do, I'll move in here so you can see it. Now it's boiling. Before I start, I'm stepping on the bottom half and kind of stretching it out a little bit more. I actually do this slightly off camera, but I guess I can do it over here. There's no reason why not. Just to help with that roundness again, because otherwise it'll have like a flat side. So now you just stick it in there for a few seconds. And we're going to do this 18 times. No. What is 9 times 4? 36. We're going to do this 36 times. So I cram it on the floor and get it just halfway in. And then I'll grab the other side. I'm going to try to match up the writing. Oops, I lost it. There we go. I try to match up the writing and make sure it's going in the same direction so that I know it's following the same curve as it was following from the original roll. And that is another thing that helps it keep its shape a little bit. Oops, I'm doing this so you can't see it. And there's one side together. And now I'll sort of give it just a little gentle bend while it's still warm to try and help make that curve a little bit stronger. And then we'll go to the next side. It's raining outside. I don't know if you can hear that. Probably not over the boiling water. Boop. And then I'm going to go to this side. This is the side I normally do it from, so I'm a little off kilter. And then put it together. And now, so this one's together. And now I'm kind of stepping on the bottom and where that first connector is and tugging up on the top, again, just to add a little bit more curve to it. And that is a connected blank. And now I've just got to make 8 more of those. And the tubing is actually pretty cold, so I should stretch it a lot more. Cool, yeah. And I like to do them in batches. I like to wait until I have a batch like this so that I can do more at once and I don't have to go through each step over and over again. Just do it all at once. See how dusty the tubing is? It's pretty gross. It gets your hands really gross. I will wash my hands before I start taping. The dust tends to go away. You can wipe it off. Like go around. Bye, Johnny. Good night. Thanks for dropping by and hanging out. You can wipe it all off with a paper towel at the beginning when you first undo your roll, and I used to do that. But now I'm lazy. And I just kind of wipe it off as I go. So you have the process of cutting the tubing, which wipes some of it off, and then putting it together like this, which wipes some of it off. And then finally, when you do the final taping, where's the rainbow staff? This, it's a pair of just straight staves for like flow. It's another flow toy. I don't use them. I've had them for years. I don't use them. A friend of mine made them for me, and then I taped them, and I just never used them. And I think I've tried to gift them before or sell them, and I just never did it. So they just kind of hang out there and look pretty, but never get used. It's very sad. I have a lot of flow toys that I don't really use anymore. Yeah, they are. They look nice, and they add a little bit of flair to my otherwise. No, I guess my house isn't that ugly. Hi, Michelle. I'm good. I'm making hoops. I'm trying to catch up with Etsy orders. And doing a live stream. I hope I'm not too boring. I'm trying to think of interesting things to talk about. Although, I don't know how many interesting things I'll have to say about putting them together, because it's just kind of this over and over. Ooh, what's that? Thank you. My house is okay. You know, I should be grateful that I have a house. And it's a little house that isn't quite designed to be lived in full time, but I have lived in it for the past 5 years. So it's definitely got its quirks. I really don't like this color paint, but I have not ever endeavored to change it, so I just live with it. But it is a serviceable little house. Let's see, does anyone have any questions or hoop stories to share? I feel like I might lose a lot of people during this part because it is kind of monotonous, just boiling and connecting and boiling and connecting. And I got cats I'm stepping over. There we go. This roll is especially dusty. Ugh. I was wondering, are you pagan? I am not pagan. I used to be, I will tell you in a minute, Tim. I used to be in high school. At this point in my life, I'm basically an atheist. But I do like tarot cards. And, oh, this isn't going together like I want. Hold on. I gotta put some muscle in. And there's still like some things that I enjoy from when I did more pagan stuff. And I enjoy like being outside and being around nature and stuff like that, even though I don't necessarily believe that there's anything supernatural behind it. And I like the aesthetic. The witchy aesthetic. I've been watching a lot of witchy videos. I actually found this girl, her name is Sedna Wu. She's a very small YouTuber, but her videos are very good. She's an atheist witch, and all of her videos are about, you know, kind of using witchcraft as like a placebo effect for making yourself feel less anxious, or feeling like you have a little bit more control. Yeah, black never goes out of style. I like the colors. Anyway, I highly recommend her channel if you want to check out someone fun and interesting. Sedna Wu. I need to put a little bit more water in this pot. I didn't fill it super high, and it's already going down. So my house, actually, give me just a second. There we go. If I used a bigger pot, it wouldn't boil down as quick, but I don't. Yeah, that is it. Sedna Wu. I highly recommend her channel. She's very practical, but cute. I don't know. I don't know another way to say it. She also does like cosplay, so she's always got cute outfits on, and she's got a few like spell videos and a lot of ways to use witchcrafty things without having to believe that there's a supernatural side to it, which is right up my alley. So so Tim had asked about my house. I basically live in my landlord's backyard, and it's like a mother-in-law house. Yeah, definitely. Let me know what you think of her. I live in my landlord's backyard, so the house isn't super well insulated, and it doesn't have central heating, and it doesn't have a bathtub, but it's cute. It's like a big tiny house. It's not super huge. I don't need a whole lot of space, so that aspect of it is really good. I would like to at some point get an arched cabin. I don't know if you've seen those, but it's basically what I have now, except I'd have more vertical space, which is great for hooping, because right now I don't have a lot of vertical space, and I have too many ceiling fans. I hate ceiling fans. They're awful for hooping because you go to toss your hoop and it gets stuck in the ceiling fan. But it serves its purpose. And I've been able to kind of decorate it a little bit more recently in a style that I like. And like I got a cute rug, and I put my books on my shelf in rainbow order. So it's a little more inviting space to be in. But it is small, and it can be difficult to battle the elements, and much better than sleeping under a bridge. Yeah, I have slept in a garage before, and I could say that in certain parts of the winter, it's not that much better than sleeping in a garage. There is protection from the wind, but not so much protection from the cold or the heat itself. The winter is worse than the summer, and I feel uncomfortable having like a Yeah. I feel uncomfortable having like a space heater going at night, but sometimes I'll do it anyway if it's really cold. I've also I had a heated blanket, but it died. So far, I haven't needed to bust out the space heater, but I know I will eventually. All right, the water's starting to get nice and hot again. I live in a bungalow with only 7-foot ceilings, barely have room to hoop, staying still. Oof. Yeah, that's so frustrating. Any natural gas? No. No. You would think maybe, but I just have electricity. One good thing is that I have a pretty solid water heater that is right next to the bathtub. Or the bathroom. I don't have a bathtub. Yeah, I know. And so when it gets really cold, if I take a nice hot shower, my shower gets really hot really fast, then I can like take a hot shower, throw on some socks and warm clothes and get under the covers and stay pretty warm that way. But yeah, winters are a challenge. The rest of the time it's not so bad. Yes, going outside is nice. You have all the space in the world, and I used to go to local parks, but right now I'm not going anywhere. Yeah, I know. So as long as I can make it through the winter, it's fine. It was 20 here this morning. My house is 100 years old and designed for it. Yeah, old houses are amazing, especially ones that are designed to regulate temperature. Oops, I knocked into the iPad. I dropped you guys. Hang on just a sec. I'll pick that back up. But I'm holding too many things at once. That's what my ceiling looks like. Yes, I am in Texas. I am in Dallas. I've lived in Dallas for since 2012. I've lived in Dallas. I lost a connector. It's fine. Yes. It's metal. I keep meaning to like do something cool, like string up some fairy lights with magnets or something. But if I haven't done it by now, I probably never will. But I think it would make it look a lot cuter in here. This is one of the bigger ones. When I first moved here for grad school, I moved into an apartment that had lousy heat. Bought a sleeping bag. Oh, yeah, actually, I used to have a sleeping bag that helped a lot. I don't know if you remember me in Northeast Oklahoma. I've been following you a long time. Maybe, give me more context. I definitely recognize your name. I know I've seen you comment before. Did we hoop together at any point? I used to go to a lot more events, but I have not recently. And this year I was like feeling it. I was excited to go to events, but I made a few hoops like these. I used green and yellow tape for the Packers. Nice. I don't know where it is now. Yeah, it's fun to make your own hoops. And you can really customize them. And honestly, part of the fun of being a hoop maker is you have an excuse to buy all the pretty tapes and just make whatever you want. I don't do that as much anymore, but I used to do that a lot. Because the tapes are expensive, but if you are making them, you have an excuse to have a lot on hand. I'll show you my tape collection here in a minute. I bought a bunch of hoops from you several years ago. I have a small business myself now. Sweet! That's awesome. Are you making hoops? So many folks have learned from my big friendly hoop. Oh, that's awesome. It's really cool how far one hoop can go. You're welcome. I miss you, Tim. Tim and I used to hoop together. Back in the day, we had a big group jam thing. There wasn't just hoops, it was all sorts of flow toys. But we would go to it. It's like a monthly, there was a weekly one and then a monthly one. After I get all these put together, I'll show you my tapes. I know, after the pestilence is off the land, yeah, definitely. I'm ready for it to be over. The vaccine news seems to be good, so I'm hopeful for that. It won't be too much longer, we can hope. I would like to go to hoop events again. I haven't been in a long time. I was saying that. I can't remember if I finished saying that, but I haven't been to events in a long time. And at the beginning of the year, I was like, I'm going to go to some hoop events this year. And then, you know, everything happened. Teach classes, make hoops. Bartlettsville is where... Nice. Very cool. That's awesome. Yeah, it's neat. It's neat how there's so many ways to just like work for yourself these days. You can find something you love, figure out how you like to do it. Have you ever made the small hoops? I don't know, but normally there's two and it's too small for the waist. Like minis. I have made them a long time ago. When I was doing my Etsy shop full time, I made like everything. I made the small hoops, the big hoops. I was trying to kind of cater to everybody, and I just got burnt out. I didn't enjoy making them. Still do my Tim stick. I smite myself with poi. Nice. I just didn't enjoy making all the different types and trying to cater to everyone. So when I gave myself permission to just focus on making the big hoops, it helped a lot. Oh no! I bet they're not. I bet they're not, Kiana. It definitely feels like when you're starting out that every little thing is a problem, you know, like your shape is a problem, the shape of the hoop is a problem. You know, you kind of find all these things to blame it on, but really it's just getting a sense for the movement, and you'll get there, and your shape will not be a hindrance. I promise. If you aren't following Nicole Goss, Black Girl Hoopin', on Instagram, she is killing it. My grandsons and I made 22 hoops. That's so cool, Michelle. I want to make them, but I didn't know. Hold on. If I should try with the PSI tubing or use for the larger ones. It's really up to you what you want to make. I personally think the Polypro hoops are a little bit harder to make. They're a little more picky. The tubing can crack, whereas this stuff is more likely to just kink. But you have to push really hard for it to kink. So Polypro is a less forgiving tubing, but if those are the kind of hoops you want to use, then you can absolutely make them. And there are so many videos out there now. I don't have any on Polypros because I just don't like making them, but they're way better tutorials than I could ever make about them available. But what I was saying is, if anyone isn't following Black Girl Hooping on Instagram, definitely follow her, because she like, I'm tired I'm tired of making hooping content, but she is promoting everything I believe in. Big hoops, body positivity, waist hooping, just rocking out in the way that makes you feel good rather than worrying about like trying to look pretty. So definitely check her out on Instagram if you aren't already following her. She's awesome. She's like my current favorite hooper. or hoop celeb, hoop personality. I really like what she's doing for hooping. Yay, good, Michelle. She's fantastic. She's doing good stuff. But yeah, whatever hoops you want, DIY it if you're not afraid to try. I don't think the tubing for the Polypro tubing, especially the clear Polypro, is that much more expensive than this irrigation tubing, especially these days. Gave up worrying about hooping pretty a while ago. Yeah. Yeah, and you know what's so funny is if you're just hooping the way that feels good and the way that you enjoy, sometimes it just ends up looking pretty because confidence is attractive, you know? Oh, 3 more. But yeah, make whatever hoops you want to make. And the nice thing, what I did when I started, because it can be kind of intimidating getting the materials, because it's hard to, there are places where you can buy blank hoops right now in hooping as in life. Yep, exactly. Where you can just buy like a single blank hoop if you just want to tape one, practice taping one, rather than like going through all of this process to put it together, which is a little bit different for Polypro. Fire spinning in Colorado. I don't think I have ever done fire in Colorado. I haven't been to many, I don't think I've been to any events in Colorado. There is a video of me fire spinning at Hoop Camp in California, like in 2009. And then there's somewhere on the internet a video of me fire hooping at Hoop Path in North Carolina, also in 2009. And I think there's another video somewhere on one of my channels of like a bunch of friends and I spinning fire, but that was just here in Texas. So I don't know that I have a video from Colorado with fire anywhere. Oh, I didn't finish my thought. If you have friends that want to hoop together, you can go in on materials together. I know that was you, the details are sketchy. That's okay. If you find the video, share it with me and I'll confirm or deny. But yeah, if you have some friends that want to hoop with you, you can all go in on the materials together. That's what my friends and I did. We went in on a roll of tubing, and we just had a big hoop making party, and we each made a hoop, and we each taped it with like electrical tape and duct tape and just really basic materials, because that's what we had. And it's a good way to get in practice making hoops without having to spend so much money on materials. I know I missed a chat. I'm going to go back and read it in just a sec. Ooh, we're almost done. Okay, let's see. I used to video my hoop practice so I could watch back and improve. At the time I thought I sucked so much. I went back. watched those videos this year, and I was like, okay, no prodigy. Yeah, yeah, for sure. I did that too. If you go back and look at my old channel, it's Chew Bobbington. I've got a lot of like videos from when I first was brand new hooping and was learning, and yeah, it's really nice having that record where you can see how far you've come, but also that, you know, you weren't that as bad as you thought, because you're always hypercritical of yourself in the beginning. And it's easy to get hung up on comparing yourself to the people that you want to hoop like. That's especially tough when you've got someone who's hooping you really love. Still have a huge roll of tubing in the shed. I feel that. I have lots of tubing from experimental hoops I made that I never intended to use the whole roll, so it happens. Yeah, when there's somebody that you really love watching hooping and you try it yourself and, you know, it's not matching up, it can be really discouraging. Aw, thank you, Kiana. But, you know, I've been there. There were so many hoopers that I admired when I started that I wanted to look just like. And, you know, a lot of it for me, especially back then, wasn't even just their hooping. I wanted their body shape, and I thought that by hooping I would look just like them, and it takes some like acceptance to realize that you're gonna hoop like you know, you have your own style that's kind of in there, and it's definitely influenced by the people you like, especially if those people make tutorials. You kind of learn what their favorite moves are and stuff, and because that's what they have videos about. But you eventually just sort of develop your own style, and eventually there's going to be somebody who watches you hoop and is like, oh my god, I want to hoop just like you. And that's always a nice feeling. But you know, everybody hoops in their own way, and it's important to kind of just look at your own progress and compare it to yourself rather than comparing it to somebody else, because it can get discouraging if you focus on that too much. It's not a bad thing. I spent an entire year trying to hoop like Vivian Spiral. Does anyone know who that is? Michelle might, if she's been around a while. Vivian Spiral was another one of the hoopers that started kind of shifting the hoop size down smaller and smaller, because she did a lot of sustained spinning where she would just like grip the hoop. This hoop is huge, but she would like grip the hoop like this and spin, and so it just kind of looked like it was hovering, and she would hold it with one hand, and so the smaller, lighter hoops were easier for her to do that with. And she's just a beautiful hooper and very graceful, and I wanted to be just like her, and so I like dedicated a whole year to imagining her when I was hooping. I came in while you were already making these hoops. Are you connecting two pieces? Yeah, this is actually my last one. So what I've got a pot of boiling water, and what I'm doing right now is I'm stretching them out a little bit more so they'll be more round and not like cave in on themselves. And I've got these connectors. Hey Drew! My knees ache anytime I hoop for more than 2 minutes. Any recommendations? Hold on, I'll get to that in a second. So I've got these connectors, and I stick the tubing in the water for a few seconds, and then I pop it in, and I can't usually get it all the way in with just my hands, so then I push it down on the ground to about halfway, right here. And my mom is watching Home Alone, and she keeps sending me Home Alone quotes. It's my favorite Christmas movie. So that keeps popping up. And then I'm seeing the chats. I will get to them in just a sec. And then my second side. And then I put those together. Oh. And, oops, I peeled off my label, my size label. There we go. So now those two sides are connected. And now I have them separated on the other side so that I can collapse them figure 8 style, which I will show you when I'm done with that. So, Drew, are you leg hooping, or are your knees just getting tired from waist hooping? Getting sore and tired from waist hooping? Answer me that, and then I'll go further on that question. I have been to Beth's barn. I love Beth. Yeah, she was definitely one that I watched a lot in the beginning too. Your waist hooping. Let me think about that. I've been struggling with my back recently, getting sore. And I was having some problems with my knees. Are you moving? Yeah, if you go to Hoop Path Retreat, if there's ever another Hoop Path Retreat, Beth and Baxter, both, and Ann Humphreys, if you know who Ann Humphreys is, they all live in Carborough, North Carolina. And there's a whole day of Hoop Path, well, a whole evening, like an evening bonfire at Hoop Path at Beth's house. And there's like a big bonfire, and then just kind of like a jam the rest of the night. Okay, I'm going to let the water cool down and catch up with some chats because I missed some. Yeah, and the first time it was like, wow, this is like hooping mecca, because I've always watched this on YouTube. Okay, I missed, you were the first person for me when I first started. Aw, because I wasn't perfect. I'm still not perfect, I promise. I never made the figure 8 ones, just the stationary hoop. I thought I was seeing it wrong. No, that I like to make it. All right, Tim, thank you for coming and hanging out. It was good to talk to you. Good night. Yeah, the figure 8 ones, again, it's kind of a laziness thing. I don't have to do any riveting or drilling to make them, so that's why I like them. And I think they're easier to ship, which might not be true. I don't think I ship my hoops in the most convenient way because I just like mummify them in bubble wrap. I've tried to find boxes, but the boxes they're just so much more expensive, and I don't want to charge people that much more money for shipping, so I don't. Drew, did you see a cattail? It might be Max. He's right here. Max, do you want to say hi to everybody? Hello. Drew, when you are hooping, are you planting your feet in one place, or are you stepping around as you hoop? I'm trying to diagnose your knee problem. Let's see. I'm trying to think about how to best go about my next step, which is actually taping the hoops. I have to move some tubing, and I have to bring my boxes of tape over. All right, give me just a sec. I'm going to move this roll out of the way. And I'm going to, let's see, let's do this. Plant it in place. Unless doing a turn. Okay, so that might be what's happening is you're planting your legs and your knees are kind of cranking in, like you're moving your hips, but your knees are staying still. So if you, oops, I kicked a cat. If you maybe try marching in place a little bit, that might help. Try that and you know where to find me, so let me know if that helps. All right, so this is how the hoops collapse. So there's a connector on one side and a connector on the other side. Okay. And you just fold it like this, twist around into a figure 8, and then you fold it down. You're welcome. Thank you. Yes, my rainbow bookshelf. It's my gift to myself. And then that's how the hoop collapses, and that's how I ship them. I don't recommend storing hoops this way because they can warp and stay stuck, but you want to store them flat. And then you open them and crank them back into shape and go. Yeah. And it's really easy to make hoops like that, and so that's how I do it. So over here, let's see, I've got my tapes, and I'll bring them over here. And here's my, it's kind of disorganized. There's where I put my tapes, and these are the tapes that I'm going to be using. I have them organized by shiny tapes and gaffer tapes and size. It's showing up backwards for me. I don't know if it's showing up backwards for you, but I just have them split up and organized. And this is the best way that works for me, so I can just grab the box that I need, and it's easy to put them away. I've struggled with tape organization for a long time. So let me see what I'm making first. Okay. The first one is a 50-inch ocean water. So that is a teal and blue hoop. I'm just going to bring all of this over here so I have it. So this is the fun part, and for a lot of people it's the hardest part, is the actual taping. Yeah, so now I need to go through all of my cut hoops. Oh, perfect. It's right on top. Okay. There we go. This is the part that can take the longest to get the hang of, is the actual taping of the hoop. It is a 50-inch. I double check so many times just to make sure I'm actually making the right tape. So you'll always start with the decorative tape. And this hoop has 3 tapes on it. Oh goodness. We're having an organization malfunction. Okay. So it uses 1 decorative tape and then 2 gaff tapes, green and teal. So those are the colors on this hoop. This is the ocean water hoop. It's one of my more popular designs. People really like teal. It's a good color. So I always start with the decorative tape, and I have some hoops designs that have more than 1 decorative tape. When you just have 1, it's a little bit easier. I actually tape a little bit differently now than I did on the videos I made about taping. Yeah. See, I'll have to go back and check them because they'll drive me crazy. Yeah, I have a whole playlist, Jennifer. I have a whole playlist of hooping tutorials. There's a cat fight. I don't know if you can hear it. My tubing is in the way, my big roll of tubing, that's gonna bother me. I'm gonna scoot you guys over here. So I used to cut a strip of tape, but now I just leave it on the roll. Sorry, trying to avert disaster if it came in the way of the iPad. And I wrap it while it's still on the roll. How many minutes? 120? I think YouTube cuts off the live stream at 120, an hour or 2 hours. So if we get there and y'all still want to keep watching, I can take a vote and start a new stream. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9, 10, 11, 12, 15, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. We'll do 23 wraps for this. Can't hear me? Can anyone else not hear me? Let me know. I don't know how to fix that. Oh, yeah, I wouldn't have my shop open if I wasn't making them. I am behind, though. Some of these are about a week old. These orders are a week old. Is anyone else having trouble hearing me better? Okay, cool. It seems like my mic got muffled. Okay, let me know if that keeps happening. There might be some dirt on it or something. I can try to fix it if it happens again. So I like to cut it at an angle because when you put it on the hoop, the angle will line up with the edge where the connector is. And I start off at one side of the connector. I don't know what my cats are doing. They're getting into some ruckus. So if you hear cat screams, that's what's going on. Oh, this roll of tape doesn't want to play nice. Okay, so I'll peel back a little bit and then cut an opposite angle. So now I have a little flap. And I'll set my angle. And what I want, I can pretty much eyeball it at this point because I know how much room I want, but you want enough room that you can then lay down the 2 other tapes that you're putting in. And as I go, I will take this spare tape and just kind of measure the angle I'm creating to make sure I'm not getting too wide or too narrow. And this is the part that takes the longest amount of practice to get the hang of if you're going to start making hoops. Because the deco tape can be really unwieldy to use. And the first hoop that I ever made took me, I think, like 3 hours to tape because it was just such a pain trying to get the decorative tape to cooperate. But I can confirm that it does. It's another thing that gets easier with practice. So if you are interested in making your own hoops, just know that the decorative tape is going to be the biggest struggle. And also, some of the decorative tapes that are out right now, I'm losing a lot of people. The taping isn't as interesting as I thought it was. But the, I lost my train of thought. There are thicker tapes out there now. Like, there are a lot of tapes that are being made that are like layered. So it's like a sequiny tape like this, but then there's like a iridescent layer on top of it, and that makes the tape a lot thicker. And the thicker tapes are harder to work with. The thinner tapes you can kind of manipulate. You can move them. Oh yeah, I guess it is getting late. I didn't think about that. But yeah, the thicker tapes are a little bit harder to finesse and are more likely to bubble and wrinkle as you pull them, where you can kind of get away. See, like my spirals are getting a little bit narrower than I want, so I'm kind of, as I'm going now, applying a little bit of tension this way to try and get that spiral a little bit wider. But then it can also get too wide, so it's just kind of a balance and constantly checking your spirals and paying attention. And now I planned that out pretty well. I think I did 22 spirals and I'm at the end, and there's my second connector. So I'm just going to cut it on the angle and finish it off there. And where the connector meets the hoop is kind of a tricky place to tape because it's not a nice even surface. There's kind of like a little bend in the tubing where the connector is. So it can be difficult to avoid wrinkles there, and I try to cover that up. I tape both sides, and then I go back and I put, like, cat fight, individual little 1-inch pieces of grip tape to make the connectors obvious, but also just to give it a nice finished edge, and that can help cover up some of the wrinkles that happen on those edges. Is everyone still hearing me okay? Now I'm paranoid. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 14, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Okay, cool. Thank you. Thank you for the confirmation. Does anyone have any questions about taping? Has anyone tried taping a hoop before? Had any struggles or successes? I can probably keep talking about it, but that makes sense. Okay, cool. As long as everyone can still hear me, it doesn't seem to be happening again, so. Oh, you can use pretty much any tape, but I don't think washi tape would hold up very well, would be my main thing. Yeah, keeping everything even is for sure the hardest part. Because washi tape is kind of weak, like it's got that papery texture and it rips really easily. So it would probably get beat up pretty quickly. But there are tapes you can get that are just a clear coating tape that you can use. So if you wanted to like make some kind of design with washi tape and then cover it with the clear protective tape, that would make it last longer. So yeah, you probably could do some actually really cute stuff with washi tape if you were patient enough. I don't think that I am. But I do have a washi tape problem because I have planners. And so I have a washi tape collection and a sticker collection. But I've never translated that to hoop making. Actually, that could be really cool. Yeah, the spacing is the hardest part. Using the tape backing is the best thing I've found to keep track of it. You used washi one time. Oops. It like fades the chat out so quickly. Took the hoop to the beach a few times. Oof. Yeah, for sure. My thoughts on smart hoops. Like LED hoops? Yes, I know, baby boy. Is that what you mean by smart hoops? Like the ones that you can, that have all the different settings and stuff that you can flip through? Otherwise, I'm not really sure what. Are certain widths of tape easier than others? I find that the width of tape, if the width of tape is the same as the diameter, like the thickness of your tubing from like here to here, if the width of your tape is the same like that, it's a lot easier than trying to use a thicker tape on a smaller tubing. But thinner tapes are easier to use on thicker tubing. Programmable LED. I have not purchased one. The only LED hoops I've had have been gifts, and I've never had a programmable one because I'm too cheap to buy one. I know there are some really cool ones where like you hit it and the setting changes. I don't know who makes them, but I think those are pretty cool. I've gotten to use other people's that were nice enough to let me use them because people are very protective, as they should be, of their very expensive LED hoops. I will say, if you get one, the main thing you have to watch out for is if you take it somewhere. Drunk people love picking up blinky things without asking, so just be careful about people not, just picking up your really expensive LED hoop and using it. But as far as a company, I don't really know. I know a lot of people that make LED hoops. Not quite sure who makes the smart ones. I would say definitely order from an actual hoop maker. Don't order anything off of like Wish or anything that's clearly shady, You want to actually order from a maker and you're going to get something good. You could probably ask in some hoop groups what smart hoops are better. They're fun, and if you're not graceful, yeah. LED hoops kind of make up for a lot of technical imperfections because people are just so impressed by the fact that something is shiny that, you don't have to do too much with it. Yeah, the only ones I've ever had were just basic, they just light up. I've never had any with the changing settings. But they are super cool. Now I have to look and see. Max is sitting on he's sitting on my iPad. Thank you. I have to see which order. I can never remember. So the teal goes down first. Oh yeah, Astral Hoops and Mood Hoops are both good companies. They've been around for a long time. They're reputable. I've never purchased from them myself, but I think they're both good. I'm trying to think. Was there a scandal with Astral Hoops recently? I can't remember. Don't quote me on that. There was some company where like the owner did some shady stuff. I can't remember for sure. So don't quote me on that. Maybe Google. But I'm pretty sure Astral Hoops is a good company. I can see their logo in my head, like the little A with the hoop, right? Anyway, there's always some kind of scandal. So now I'm going in with the gaffer tape, and I'm just going to overlap it just a little bit with the tape that's already down, the deco tape. And when you're first starting out, it can be a good idea to kind of lift the hoop up and check that you're staying on that spiral. And once you get a sense, is it normal? Is it normal for it to hit your ankle bone every time it drops? Oh. Yeah, it is normal. You're gonna get beat up by your hoop at first. You can catch it. Are you catching it as it drops, or are you letting it fall? Because you might actually be able to avoid it hitting your ankle if you let it fall. See, I think I made some of these spirals a little bit too narrow in the beginning, but I'm just gonna finesse it. It'll still look good. I need a hoop that lights up only when it's dropped. Excuse me. You're welcome. Yeah, I'm sorry I don't have that much more information about smart hoops. And it was one of those things that, like, I was going to try to learn how to make LED hoops back when I was trying to make all of the kinds of hoops. I actually got to watch Melissa from Super Hooper make an LED hoop one time. I was staying with her. I'm trying to catch it now to avoid any further ankle shred. Yeah, that's fair. I'm normally a big proponent of just letting the hoop fall, but if it's hurting you more than it's helping you, then go ahead and catch it. The reason I recommend that is just so that your body can start to learn what it feels like when it's dropping. Hello, how are you? I like the hoop you're making. Thank you, Crafty. I wanted to get a 52-inch hoop, but I didn't know what kind of tricks I would be able to do. And there are not a lot of videos for big hoop tricks. Yeah, some LED hoops will change blinking colors based on getting hit. So you could change, yeah. Technically, recycled on Wednesdays, there are hoops that change settings when they get hit. So you could have something that does something cool every time it falls. Yeah, so who asked the question about the 50, or said about the 52-inch? French? Yeah, I think that's a dilemma that a lot of people have when they're getting a first hoop. So many of the moves people do these days are off body and kind of require, sorry, I'm adjusting my position and I need to move this tubing because it's getting in the way. They do kind of require having a smaller hoop, or, you can do a lot of cool off-body tricks with a smaller hoop. But if you just want to learn, if you are more interested in learning just how to hoop around the waist and you just want to keep it going there, and you want to learn how to hoop around the shoulders especially, and chest hoop for more than just like doing breaks and paddles, and a lot of people will be doing isolations and then they'll like do a few breaks and then they'll pull it right off, and you can do all that with a smaller hoop. But if you want to learn how to like sustain that hooping around your shoulders and around your waist, the bigger hoops are really the way to go. So it really just depends on what you want to do in the hoop. And if you don't care that much about spending a lot of time just hooping on body, then it's okay to go a little bit smaller. But if you're wanting to learn waist hooping, the bigger hoop you have, the easier it is. And most hoopers are going to end up with like an arsenal of different size hoops because they all serve a slightly different purpose. Now, my friend Shannon, who runs a shop called Dance Hoops on Etsy, all one word, Dance Hoops, she actually makes hoops that have sections you can remove to make it shift between a few different sizes. So that's a good option for if you don't quite know what size you want and you want something a little bigger, but you also want something a little smaller. I'm, again, too lazy to make those because it requires the drill and the push buttons, and I've got to meet myself where I'm at. These are the hoops I like to make, that I'm comfy making, and they serve a purpose. So these are the hoops that I make. But I am never afraid to recommend someone else if I don't make the type of hoop someone's looking for. I would rather you guys get the right tool for the job. Okay, when I get to the end of this half, I am going to move this roll of tubing. I'm going to get up and move it because I don't know if you can see that my hoop is kind of tipping. It's driving me crazy. So I need to fix that. Burp. All right, give me just a sec. Baby girl, I know. That's baby girl. She's being chased by Nimitz, who's being mean. And now you're being so mean. Okay. All right, I missed some chats. I think you guys were talking to each other, but I want to go back real quick. So Recycled on Wednesday said, when they started learning a new trick, they wore clothes and shoes that would give protection. Oh, a mouth guard is a really good idea. I used to smack myself in the face really hard. Large hoops give me more time to respond, so I'll use them for learning new tricks. I have 7 different hoops, all different sizes. I have the interchangeable ones with the sections by Hoopnautica. Thank you. Yeah, this is a good hoop. I forget there are hoops like that, so you can change the size of it. I think I'll purchase one of those next. Yeah, definitely. The one I ordered will be my 4th hoop. Yeah, all hoopers have a collection. So it is coming up on the 2-hour mark. Would you guys want me to start a new stream and keep going? Let me know. Now that I've got my workspace a little more ideal, optimized. Yes, yes. 2 yeses. That's good enough for me. Okay, before I start taping then, I'm going to go ahead and end this stream and start a new one. So bear with me.